CPI shows that inflation is dropping, and the Fed says that AI efficiency gains are leaving room for rate cuts. But everyone's favorite Bitcoin boomer, Larry Lepard, had choice words for Fed Chair Kevin Warsh. We're going to detail what he had to say in a moment. And speaking of AI, Anthropic just inked a deal with a major Bitcoin miner to the tune of $9.1 billion. Meanwhile, Strategy is proud to take the title of central bank of Bitcoin. We'll play that clip in a second. At the same time, now proudly pushing stablecoins as the money of the future and cozying up with Solana. What in the hell is going on here? And the failure of BIP 110 to activate this past weekend is leading to some, interesting tweets from Luke Dash Jr. It's pretty wild things coming out of that Twitter feed. I honestly can't believe some of what I'm reading, but some people are excited about it. So we're going to discuss a bit of that as well. Either way, strap in, drop a like. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is Bitcast.
The issue is not red or blue. The issue is between the state and you.
It can be a little bit of a warning sign.
It gives you a tool to empower.
That sounds like a utopia, my friend.
It is. It's exactly a utopia.
With Bitcoin, no one can take it from you.
Gentlemen, happy Wednesday, and happy to special guest, Mr. Adam O'Brien of Bitcoin. Well, how you doing, buddy?
Really good, man. It's summer. It's beautiful. All of my Bitcoin are safe. So just gotta
thank goodness.
Count your blessings.
Yes.
We made it through the last week. I was like, oh man, it's been a crazy month. It's like, oh, it's August 8th.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. There's Bitcoin was boring for a while. That is certainly not the case right now. So well, gents, let's chat a little bit about some of the macro stuff that's been coming up. And Larry Lepard had some harsh words for Fed Chair Kevin Warsh. We'll get to those in a second. But yeah, so market expectations for a September rate hike fall to 34%. Those were up quite high not long ago, just a few weeks ago. They were up in around 70% almost, which is wild. So they've basically been cut in half. This marks the lowest chance of a September rate hike since July 17th. So odds of a September rate hike, again, around half of what they were around the 27th. So more or less with the drop in CPI, you've also got Kevin Warsh basically saying like, it's all these AI efficiency gains. Everything is going so well, there's plenty of room for rate cuts here. Shouldn't be a problem. Here we've got Larry Lepard though. He's quote tweeting Charlie Bello. I'm not sure how to say that last name, but price changes over the last year. This is July CPI report. Fuel up 39%, gas up 24.5%, gas utilities up 4.5%, electricity up 4%. There's plenty more. It's all not fantastic. And then Larry Lepard quoting, but yeah, inflation is 2 to 3% and overstated according to Warsh. Fed chairman should be renamed head monetary gaslighter. He goes on to also quote Zero Hedge, talking about the odds of a rate hike sliding. He said, told you, he is going to cut. Run it hot, baby. As Warsh told us, AI productivity gains give us the space to cut rates without increasing inflation. Also, his new task force will tell us that inflation is overstated. Party on. Now, this is in the face of a number of other things in the macro picture that are looking pretty wild. Again, you're hearing positivity on one side, but the lived experience is quite different. 1 in 3 workers now have more credit card debt than retirement savings. This is from Schroders. That's a crazy stat. Here's a look at the percent of balances with 90+ day delinquent based on loan type. Credit card delinquency is 90 days delinquent, almost 13% of credit card debt is now 90 days delinquent. Student loans, 10.5%. Auto loans, 5.5%. Mortgage still down at 1%. So we're not quite looking at financial crisis level there, but credit card and student loan, super high. Furthermore, we have SEC encouraging, continued gambling. Of course, they want people gambling all the time. You got to stay in the market. So they're looking at allowing stocks to trade 24/7. Apparently using blockchain for that. I don't know. Nonetheless,
Tokenize everything, those crazy bastards.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we've got, Clarity Act stuff going on right now. We've got plenty of interesting stuff in and around the macro backdrop, but conflicting with what we're being told versus the lived experience. So I'm going to just start it there. Brandon, maybe I'll toss it to you. Everyday people continuing to feel the pinch, but the Fed is trying to put lipstick on a pig so that they can cut. It seems like they just had to fake out for a little while. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's, and I talked about this the other day on another live stream, and I don't think I've talked about it here yet, but I think there's a 2-year plan and a 4-year plan going on here. And meaning, of course, you want to win the midterms. Your life would be easier if you win, if you're not getting impeached left and right all the time. However, if you watch not what Trump is saying, as we have said many times here, and I unfortunately met much of the Bitcoin community, much of the right, alt-right, libertarians have made me become a Trump defender, which is wild. If you would have told me a year ago, I would be sitting here having to defend Trump all the time, what they're doing, I would have called you batshit crazy, but here we are. And if you watch what they're doing, bringing out their science report, the defense report, the technology report, like all these different reports they put out and how they speak, talking about Hamilton and McKinley and all these presidents from the American system from the 1800s. If you watch what they're doing, they just bought a bunch of Bitcoin, up like 50% more of Bitcoin from their holdings, 9,000 to now 14,000. And so people focus on the hot air, the talk, expletives and the F word with Iran, which it's a negotiating tactic. If you would know that, though, if you've been following Trump for 40 years, if you've been reading his books and actually watching him work. And this is a known thing, but unfortunately, the masses don't do their homework. They headline read the legacy media that hates him and the left and the globalists. They just run their mouth constantly, and then so everyone kind of runs that narrative. Then Candace and Tucker and people like that will run with the narrative with their own intentions and their own incentives or whatever their game they're playing. But if you watch the long-term game of what's happening, of bringing nuclear back, Nixon said we're gonna have 1,000 nuclear reactors in America, stuff like that. And I think we have one. Someone can double check that, but we think we have one. Well, now we're bringing that back. You talked about this a couple weeks ago, of them signing stuff for nuclear, reshoring things, manufacturing, the oil, choking up the strait and messing with the other countries, messing with the British Crown, taking Venezuela. They have a strategy that's really, honestly, it's a 40-year strategy, but they're going to try to do it in 2 to 4 years. But this is where I think that the 2 years, I think we're probably going to lose because it's always hard to win year 7 and 8 of your presidency and keep that. So you tend to be a lame duck. But what are they going to do? They're going to impeach him 300 times. You're going to have Warships here. Everything lines up, like you guys just said, to kind of change the metrics, make things cheaper through abundance in the sense of energy coming down over time, make more goods and services, and then you have a higher prosperity, higher standard of living. And then inflation, of course it's going to be financial repression. That is the only way out of this. They know that. Warsh knows that. He writes checks. He's not a lawyer. This guy has written checks before in the VC world, funding things, Besant, collapsing, the pound 35 years ago. So this, not that they're going to be perfect with it and successful, but the toothpaste is out of the tube now. And Trump's just started this. He's not going to finish it. It's going to be the rest of us. The Monroe Doctrine, the Don Rowe Doctrine, whatever you want to call it. This is the plan. It's how do you make yourself resilient at the end of the day and bring the manufacturing and break that prosperity back to America and the energy, the infinite energy, the AI, the data centers, the compute. with oil, the nuclear, everything, all back into one, mixed with the American system, mixed with Bitcoin and the stablecoin thing, which I think you mentioned as well. There's probably going to be some bimetallic standard where we cross the bridge with stablecoins a little bit until we get to a full Bitcoin standard. So probably like a hyper dollarization world, like CK, I know had talked about 5 or 6 years ago in the Bitcoin community, and then hyper Bitcoinization. That's what it looks like to me. If you're just reading the tea leaves, reading what Trump's been saying for 40 years, and then literally reading what all these guys in the administration are saying, or we can just, kind of fight headlines, I guess, the whole time. And, have a lot of Bitcoiners and alt-rightists and leftists all pissed off and saying he's an evil person. He just wants to build a new Trump facility in the Straits of Hormuz or whatever, and just mind read, apparently, and elevate our cognitive dissonance. So to me, it's lining up for a massive print. And Larry just said it again. He wrote a book about it and just said it again the other day. Massive print incoming. We all know it. It's the only way out of this. 40 trillion debt. It's going to be 80 trillion in probably about 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So buckle up. Better have hard assets.
Adam?
Yeah, man, buckle up. You better have hard assets. I mean, listen, like, are we surprised? Like, I mean, Brandon nailed it. They have to print. There's no other way. I think the problem that this group is running into and will continue running into is that historically they've been able to control the narrative so well. And now I think even the big players aren't accepting their promises of the future. And we're starting to see, I mean, look at like the fact that we're even allowed to talk like this over the centralized airwaves of YouTube. This wasn't possible 5, 6 years ago. Like you know, this stream would have been banned. If you would have said this stuff about the truckers 6 years ago, like you probably had an officer at your house 30 seconds later. And so the fact that we're even allowed to say this showcases, I think, they're running out of options. And when they run out, like, I think about it like the duck underwater, like the very fast feet moving really quickly. That's how the government feels right now. Is they are completely lost control. They have completely lost all of their options. The only option they have left is to print inside this democratic voting system. I'm still, I don't know what the poly market says, but I think Trump third term is like all but certain at this point. I'm like, I think it's going to happen. And I can't wait to see the charades and clown show that we're about to experience as the system continues to lose grip and lose control, as freedom technologies continue to grow. AI is looking more and more like an equivalent to Bitcoin, in that there's going to be a bunch of like the Anthropic, LARP, all these cloud models that are just cucked are going to remain. And the majority of the population will use that, just like a CBDC, just like an ETH, just like a Solana, just like some kind of centralized, paper Bitcoin. And they're trying to capture people right now. They're trying to recapture people. And it's this freedom yin and yang that's kind of going on. We as Bitcoiners, we understand what it's like to hold real Bitcoin, what it's like to have sovereignty in that, what it's like to know that no one can just rug you for anything that they want. You and your generations are good. And we have to really watch now where our data is going and where our information comes from, because they are out of options. And make no mistake, the system wants to come for you.
Yeah, Adam, you said something there. They want to recapture people. And there's something we were talking about on the show on Monday that we didn't dive into too much, but I absolutely think that it falls under that category. You see, right at the same time as like a self-custody nightmare in Bitcoin, you see iBit, they lowered the amount for their in-kind redemptions, which is where somebody can take self-custody Bitcoin and exchange it for the equivalent in the ETF without tax implications. And they lowered it from 25 million to 1 million. They want your Bitcoin. They want it centralized. They want control over it, right? I think what they want is all the Bitcoin sitting in custody, because that makes a 6102 much more feasible. And in true times of panic, when the national currency is failing and inflating at breakneck speed, governments will do anything to get order. Think of, again, you brought up earlier the trucker protest. Think of how quickly that snowballed, how panicked they got.
And the thing about the truckers too, that no one talks about this enough. Sunday, they froze the banks. I think it was Monday or Tuesday, they were told they couldn't freeze the banks, but it's like, it didn't matter. The government shows they are above, they're above the law. They're above the courts. It's like Trudeau asked permission. I'm going to go through the right steps and these terrorists are going to be held accountable. And then it's like, he does it anyways, just brute force the whole thing through. And then it's like, oh, I wasn't allowed to do that. So I guess we'll just undo what we already did. And if they can do it, then they're going to continue to do it now. Still, if you ask the common person about the truckers, it's still a negative connotation. It's absolutely mind blowing how brainwashed we are.
It's completely unrecoverable. I'm absolutely to that point in the sense that the government is always just going to do what they want to do. And even if it's unconstitutional, it's against the charter, then they'll just apologize for it later. But there's no consequences. And they have all that time in between. And they know that. They're well aware of it. You're also asking like government judges to then judge the actions of government. A little bit of a bias there. I don't think it's ever going to go the way that we think. But speaking of government too, Brandon, I think you had some interesting points you wanted to throw in there.
Yeah, so in my wild tangents, as usual, Adam, I forgot this one part that Adam brought up, which is Trump's third term. And his third term is going to come, but it's going to come through way of Rubio, or it's going to come through Vance or something like that. And that's where I think they had a plan. 4 years off, you see everything, you see the mistakes you made, you'll learn a lot. They've even admitted many times, hey, we learned a lot from the first go around and then the next 4 years. And then you have this world. And again, 9 months ago, I was very against what Trump was doing. And so I want to preface this. I know people are like having a heart attack in here and like whatever. And like the Elon thing too, like people are like, oh, he's not doing the Elon or the Epstein file, stuff like that. They wrote Elon out of the script. What are you going to say? Elon says, hey, I failed at Doge. I can't actually cut things. No, of course not. The two best marketers in the world wrote him out of the script through kayfabe and said, hey, he's in the Epstein files. What do you want your enemies to do? Go to the Epstein files. Can you tell your enemy that I want you to go look at the Epstein files because I think you're in it? No, of course not. You got to have your buddy say, hey, he's in the Epstein files, because the confirmation of this is that Elon came into the administration about 6 months later. He's back in the administration. That doesn't make anyone pause and say, if he really didn't like Donald Trump and didn't want to be involved with pedos, then why is he back in the administration? No one saw that. And then a couple months later, you have, which I was against, going to Venezuela and before I could really see what was happening and really going back and dotting my I's and crossing my T's and seeing, oh my gosh, they've been talking about this for decades. Trump's been talking about this, and the whole administration was talking about it in the first year as well. And then you have everything that the libertarians, many Bitcoiners, the alt-right, Candace Tucker, the left was saying, oh, there's going to be nuclear war. There's going to be mass chaos if you bomb Iran, if you take out Iran. What happened? None of that. Again, when your predictions fall flat on your ass, you need to then stop, look around and say, I was wrong. Maybe where I'm getting my news and maybe what I'm doing is the wrong direction. Maybe I should go back and do my homework and figure out what's going on, because what everyone was telling me was going to happen didn't happen. So what's going on from here on out is energy is the way, power, persuasion is through energy, the makers versus takers world. And the 2-year thing, if they don't get it, it is what it is. Trump's going to keep doing war type things. It's politics through a different modicum. And because even if you have all of the branches of government, as we've seen first term and now here, they don't do anything. His own people don't do anything. So they were ready for this. So you're going to continue seeing this. You're going to see executive orders. You're going to see them try to get through any bill they can. Then you're going to see more military action probably, because it's the only way he's going to get things done. And then on top of that, the 4-year plan is they're going to start impeaching him. And then you run it hot like crazy. We've already seen the 2027 wars setting up. So people thought, and I thought too, they were going to set things up for the midterms. This is not enough time. So what it looks like to me is they're kind of setting up for 2027 and 2028 when you have 1,000 impeachment hearings against Trump for who knows what nonsense. And then you're going to have the economy, it looks like, roaring and really going, and the printer, the money go burr. And then you're going to have that justification, or that juxtaposition, if I could talk today, of the money printers, the economy roaring, and money going everywhere. And you have them impeaching him. So that lines up for 2028 for Vance or Rubio to be Trump's third term and then walk into the White House. Now I'm saying this, just like walk right in, like it's going to be easy. Of course, it's going to be a million things between here and there, but that looks like what they're setting up for. It was a 2-year plan. Hey, if we can do it, great. If not, there's a 4-year plan that to me is becoming, ever more reality by the day.
You know, Brandon, there's a lot for me to try and unpack and touch on there. First and foremost, I want to first hit the Trump's third term aspect because you're missing the most interesting story, right? And the most interesting story is usually the one that works. So clearly the answer is that he's going to be vice president for President Elon Musk. That'll be the setup there because nothing stops him from running for VP. Then, of course, Musk has to do rocket stuff, so he'll have to step down. Then the VP takes the place. Trump gets his third term, right? That's the move, okay? That's the move I'm looking for.
Couldn't write a better script.
Right?
That would be amazing.
Why else would you need to own X? Like, this is clearly the setup. You want to control the narrative. Additionally, you're right too on the point that, like, if your assumptions, like, you have to, if things don't work out the way you anticipate, you have to check your assumptions and check your mental models, and it's probably time to reframe them or discard them because they're not working. Had a wonderful conversation with Doomberg this week, and one of the things that kind of hit me when he was talking was this idea that, like, look, with the Strait of Hormuz, there's like 20% of oil is going through the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently not, because it's at $90 a barrel. So apparently not. So you can just throw that out the window. You got something wrong. There's something that we have wrong there. There was a few things with regards to the market that I did want to quickly touch on because I think you're right. I think it is looking like they're going to run hot and they're still going to cut. One of the things I want to check with regards to the debt, Brandon, I think you brought up there, was that to get to the first $5 trillion in U.S. debt, that took 214 years. And that landed in 1996. Then to go from 5 trillion to 10 trillion, that was 12 and a half years to 2008. To go from 10 trillion to 20 trillion, that was 9 years to 2017. And so now, and then about another 9 years to go from 20 to about 40 trillion here in 2026. So you're right. We're going from 40 trillion to 80 trillion somewhere in around 9 years or less. You can just kind of anticipate that that's the way that these things are shaping up. That's the way that's looking. That's the acceleration. That's the duck with the feet underwater. That makes perfect sense to me. And even
When
just
does
taking
it
a quick,
pop? Like,
that's
because we don't go to 160.
I don't know. I don't know because you see, like, even just, I mean, think about in terms of context of the way that we have such a consumerist economy, consumerist kind of behavior these days, that the velocity of money is insanely high. No one's saving. We just saw that chart about, like, credit card debt. Fucking credit card debt is more than your retirement savings. So no one gives a shit about store of value, and they're moving that as fast as they can. In fact, they're just running up the debt. So I think we can go past 160. Like, the Canadian moose shekel has to collapse before USD does. So does the yuan, so does the yen, so does the pound. Like, all of them have to burn inward. And so if you have the entire fiat system, especially with something like stablecoins, that makes it easy that jurisdictional borders don't really fucking matter anymore. You're going to watch everything collapse. And this could be like 400 trillion in US debt before this thing finally pops. And we have the big head-to-head battle.
All of the debt consolidating in.
All of it. Just global debt, all in one damn government and one damn currency.
51st state.
Yeah.
Everything will be the 51st state. It'll be the US and then everything is the 51st state.
Yeah, the 51st state is just anywhere else.
Every dollarized country. Yeah.
But a few things from early on, I just did want to hit on too. Taking a look at the CME Fed watch there. Yeah, we're sitting at about 60% chance of just no rate cuts, right? But at the same time, if we go and take a look at GDP now from the Atlanta Bank, it's at 5.8. So I think you're right. I think they're setting up to cut while it's actually ripping. But of course, the earlier point about debt and how everybody's feeling is that essentially, like, this is the perfect graph of the current economy, right? This is the perfect graph of the economy. They're gonna run it hot. All the asset holders, all the people at the very tippy top are going to have a wonderful time, and the rest of us are just fucking screwed. So, anyways, a couple things on the debt in the market I wanted to get in there. Ben?
Yeah. Well, gents, I'm going to take us to break here, but on the other side of the break, I want to play this clip. And this is the strategy CEO, and he's being interviewed, and he refers to strategy as taking the mantle of the central bank of Bitcoin. I'm sure that's probably one of the top things you could say to alienate every Bitcoiner that exists.
Whoever's in charge of writing his PR team are dropping the fucking ball.
I don't know what's up with that, but we'll play the clip after the break and chat a bit about it, along with what they had to say about stable coins and what's going on with STRC and Solana. And then outside of that, I want to talk a little bit about the Anthropic deal with a major Bitcoin miner and what's going on there. So with that, make sure you drop a like on the video, give this a share. We'll be back in just a moment.
One company I like pointing people to when they ask about Bitcoin mining is Abundant Mines. They were founded by Bo and Christine Turner after losing over $500,000 to broken promises in the mining industry. And they built their hosting model to remove the usual headaches. With Abundant Minds, you own your machines and keep 100% of the Bitcoin you mine. There's no revenue share, no hidden skims. Pricing is simple. One flat monthly fee covers power, parts, labor, and repairs. They also guarantee uptime. If a machine goes down, their hash rate redirect system routes hash power from their fleet so earnings don't just stop, and every machine is insured at full replacement value. Everything is hosted in the US, powered by Hydro, and mining equipment may qualify for 100% year one bonus depreciation. Learn more at abundantminds.com/sessions. Bitcoin Well is the best place to be buying and selling Bitcoin in Canada and the US. And now with Bitcoin Well Infinite, it's also the best place to be making large buys at their OTC desk of over $50,000. Their white glove service gives you fast transactions, no slippage, and the lowest fees. You can scan the QR code on the screen or simply head to bitcoinwell.com/BTC sessions to sign up today. And you can share your own personalized referral link to earn commissions.
All right, gents, we are back in. Let's take a listen to this clip. Again, CEO of MicroStrategy, or Strategy now, on the central bank of Bitcoin, apparently.
Good thing and you want to lean into it and continue to be that, or do you actually want to try and step a little bit away from being kind of that central story with the volatility that goes with it?
I don't think it matters at this point. We have 4% of all the Bitcoin in the world, 840,000 or so Bitcoin. We're the largest institutional holder of Bitcoin in the world. We're the largest holder really beyond Satoshi Nakamoto at this point. So we sort of recognize we are now the bellwether. We now are the central bank of Bitcoin. What we do what we do matters, right? And so we take that role, we embrace it, right? Like, obviously selling, $2 million worth of Bitcoin shouldn't have done what it did, and so we inoculated that market. We got that done, but it's an important role in the Bitcoin space, and we embrace it.
Yeah. So not only is there that, but I did also want to show Saylor's quote tweet. From,
did you hear the stutter? Did you hear him almost like the words choked?
Saylor quote tweeting it, saying STRC, or Stretch, is the bridge between Bitcoin, the world's digital capital, and stablecoins, the world's digital currency. And furthermore, there's this, and I'm gonna have to pull it up. I think I lost the tab here. But effectively, there's like this stable coin on Solana using Stretch as the backing. And again, you've got Saylor kind of retweeting it because obviously it's helping, one of his market products and so on and so forth. And again, I think the divergence from the 2020, 2021 era is gone. There you go, stretching the bridge. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, can you click through to that for a second? The digital money and digital yield are being built. Yeah.
Stretching the bridge.
Yeah.
STRC USX works. STRC bridge between Bitcoin, the world's digital capital, and stablecoins, the world's digital currency. Is a bridge on Solana with the choice stock itself doesn't offer, which side of the risk you hold. STRC pays variable cash dividend about 12% annualized rate right now. Yep. So we're just more people piling into shitcoins. Great team. Great.
Yeah.
Love to see it. It's funny. While I had that, I actually had some other fun charts here too. I'll just pull this one up while I got it. They hold the most Bitcoin. Yeah, but for how long? Right. I see a little bit of a trend coming down here. Kind of reminds me of the old ETH chart. So I just wanted to highlight that one. And because Joey and Walker are both not here right now, here's one of my favorites. Bitcoin per share. Seems to be continuing in the wrong direction. So I just wanted to highlight.
You notice that metric isn't advertised very much anymore.
They don't talk about that as much as they talk about Solana these days.
There's a great tweet. This video, it's hilarious, from BTC Teacher. It's this guy. And
here, and that's what's creating that water. This water is coming from this basin. This one is going into this basin.
Basically, this guy daisy chaining a siphon of water from bucket to bucket, but the caption is Michael Saylor diluting MSTR in order to buy Bitcoin and then selling the Bitcoin to buy STRC so that he can buy back MSTR so he can sell more MSTR to buy STRC so that he can buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in here. All the suit coiners all got mad at me because I called this a Ponzi like 6 months ago, and they got all upset. And I was like, I don't see how it's different. He just sells something he prints out of thin air to buy Bitcoin. We all said the smartest government's going to be the one that prints their dollar into oblivion to buy Bitcoin. Turns out you didn't actually need to be a nation state. You could just be a convicted.
You didn't need to be a nation central bank. You probably could become your own central bank. Sorry, Adam, please continue.
All you got to do is just be a convicted securities fraudster from 20 years ago. Cozy up to the CIA, and then you can do it yourself. And it's like we are witnessing in real time. Like, they hate you. They are mocking us. They know what Bitcoin is. They know the freedom, the technology, the protocol. They know how much power that gives individuals. For anyone that thinks they ignored this, even back in 2016 when they were FUD. Actually, this picture right here, I didn't plan. This is all the FUD not all of it, but this is like a series of little words of FUD that have ever been said about Bitcoin. We've got Bitcoin heading to zero. Many will lose everything. That's by Paul Krugman. Like there's all kinds of different quotes in there. This is not real. They didn't actually believe this stuff. They were trying to push you off the scent to figure out how they were going to try to kill it. And the only way you can kill Bitcoin is going to be by centralizing it. It's going to be by putting it into the hands of a few powerful men that get to then control it. Ben said it earlier, 6102. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, right? 1913, they make the Fed, they make holding gold illegal. Like all of this stuff is happening. We are witnessing in real time the new Fed. We are witnessing in real time the new centralization of hard money. So we had 1913, we had the gold stolen, and then, it was repriced a few years later. And then what do you know? A few years after that, they're printing money into oblivion. What's next? Like, open up your eyeballs, take Bitcoin into self-custody. It's tragic that we're lowering, or I guess raising, our time preference in order to because it's hard, because, and granted, Ben, you said it, like, this seems very coerced. All of this stuff at once is an insane coincidence. This massive attack on self-custody, this massive psychological attack on, like, Luke looks like he's deranged. I don't even think it's Luke anymore. Like it is not, these are not sensical comments. These are the things that he's saying are just outlandish. And it's like, it's all feeling way too coerced and way too coordinated to be legitimately happening, in my opinion.
Well, Adam, even to that point, I'd say that it's both sides. Like, you go back to 1913, they learned their lesson, right? They've done this before. History, often rhymes but doesn't necessarily repeat. They're one, putting pressure on the self-custody side. At least it feels that way, or appears that like it definitely has that kind of setup. But they're not trying to. It looks like they're doing everything in their power not to take the Bitcoin by force, because also they know they probably can't necessarily do that. They're trying really hard to butter you up, and they're going for the sweetness. They're going for the greed. Look at all this yield you can get on these Solana tokens. Like, they are trying to basically bait you into walking into the trap. Make it easier, right? You can go and hand over. You don't want to self-custody is hard. We had a big issue. Don't remember that, like, what was it? Mt. Gox was like 700,000 coins lost. Bitfinex hat was 120,000 coins lost. I think Quadriga CX was like 60,000 coins lost, but we lost over 2,000 coins, which is tragic, but we're going to amplify it, scare the shit out of you. And hey, by the way, you can just leave it with IBIT. Why don't you just give it to IBIT, and we'll just give you a little IOU. They're trying to make it so easy for you to give up your sovereignty, because it's so hard to keep your sovereignty. Brandon?
Yeah. Wait, Brandon,
Yes.
before you get in, I'm getting a DM from somebody. Yellow popped into the chat here, and he wanted to let us know that I think we're just misunderstanding the complexity of what's going on with strategy and STRC and everything. And so he sent me a helpful video here. I won't be able to play all of it, but I think even just listening to the beginning of it will probably really help us all get informed on how simple all this stuff really can be. So let's just take a quick video. This is Michael Saylor simply explains how strategy works, the macro enabulator. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Macrowell Strategy World Headquarters, research has been proceeding to develop a line of delusion products that establishes new standards for quality economic leadership and operating excellence. For a number of halvings now, significant capital deployment has been proceeding with the singular objective of maximizing speculative deterministic flux across the time chain, while concurrently densifying the Satoshic throughput of fiduciary straddle constructs. Such an apparatus is the macroencabulator. Fundamentally, the only novel principle involved is the transdimensional modulation of convictional liquidity, harmonized via the plebinal bifurcation of volatility gradients. Achieved, of course, through spontaneous sat stacking across the layer yield continuum. The foundational protocol is undergirded by a reverse inflationary motion vector, facilitated by the integration of digitally scarcified epistem clusters and a patented delusion-bearing spindle. The central
I mean, it's becoming very clear to me. I can't wait to watch the rest of that. I think we're maybe off base here, you guys. But Brandon, I'll toss it to you. Did that help?
Yeah, gotta love yellow. Amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's this is where a lot of the arguments we just had emanated from Saylor and the things he's doing. There's a lot of people that are unhappy with this and the things that are happening. And again, I still hope that it's going to be, Bitcoin's going to be a pleb run revolution. How long is that going to take? I'm very low time preference. I've been accused of that a lot in my life, and by family members, everyone. Oh, you're just too patient, Brandon. Oh, you can wait longer than everyone else. And on and on and on. So, hey, I love being low time preference, but at the same time, I think things are sped up a little bit. And this is where, again, the last 6 months, like I said with the Trump stuff, my mind has changed a fair amount. Seeing the makers versus takers, seeing a Mandami, seeing an AOC, seeing what's going on in Michigan, Al Said, all the socialists come into the yard. I think the timeline is sped up. I don't think there's time to wait 100 years and have the plebs from the bottom just like, oh, we're building Bitcoin, the protocol, up in Antarctica or up in the Arctic Circle. We get to decide somehow who's the pleb, who isn't, who's the right people to have, who's the right person to know about it. We suddenly, okay, we got Bitcoin to the right place. Now we're going to unveil it to the earth. Now you oligarchs, you aristocracy, now you can get it. That's just not how this is going to work. So as much as I would love for Saylor to have to buy his yacht with Bitcoin and actually, use that time and energy instead of the fiat financial engineering, at the end of the day, you're going to have the financial engineering from the top down, the Trojan horse from that direction, which what Adam said is the self-custody, is the node. So don't get hoodwinked by all this BS of like, oh, don't, self-custody is too hard and all this nonsense. There are psyops going on from the bottom, from the top, everywhere. It's the fork wars going on. It's from the top. It's like, you got to put your stuff in BlackRock. Complete nonsense. But there's going to be top-down and bottom-up approach at the same time. And again, I think that's what's very hard for the average person to see. We want to be very Puritan. I was very Puritan for many years. And you kind of just get yourself into a corner, and as a libertarian generally do, and you just kind of disappear into the corn stalks like Field of Dreams, and you just kind of cease to exist. You forfeit the game, and everyone runs over you. And the Democrats, the socialists, whoever comes in, the Republicans, Mitch McCocaine, Lindsey Graham, God rest his soul, they come in, and guess what? They run over you because you're gone. You're not in the game. Get your ass in the game. And that's the problem. And for a long time, the American system, which I was really just coming onto in the last 6 months, I've heard of it, but I didn't put these things together until the last 6 months at 39 years old as an American. They don't teach you this shit in school. There's a third option outside of capitalism and outside of communism. That's the fake prison of two ideas that the City of London wants you to believe that, hey, there's just these two options. Capitalism, Genghis Khan's going to run you over and just monopolize everything, or it's going to be communism and socialism. You pick. Well, guess what? Here we are. You break the currency, government currencies, and then you have a political system that's against you as well. Good luck. Good luck. So now there's a third option. It's called the American system. It's called energy, persuasiveness, power. And that's what's taking over. And then you mix that with Bitcoin. So you have an economic political system, and then you undergird it with the bedrock foundation, build your house on a bedrock of sound money. Locked in. It's game over. And that's the game that's being played. That's this world that we are entering right now. Saylor's doing his thing because he's got a fiat company and there's stuff going on. And the thing that's tough is, whether it's the Trumps or the Saylors, is you get into cognitive dissonance. People want to mind read, and they're going to collapse everything to a variable. It's Saylor's doing the consortium just because it's this thing. That there's only one variable, or expanding it to an absolute all of a sudden. Like it's only one thing that's possible. How do you know? How do any of us know? How are we in the situation room? Do I know what's going on? Of course not. Could I be wrong about absolutely everything I'm saying? I could be. And I have changed my mind many times. And that's what I'm seeing many people having a very hard time with. When the facts change, then I will change.
I got to just jump in there right away. A few things I want to hit on. One, I just immediately get this picture of like Coach Brandon at Little League, and just this is exactly the energy. And it just like, we got a bunch of like 6-year-olds hanging out, and it just ends with basically like, grab your musket or GTFO, kids. Like, and we got to go, right? We're going to save America
Bench
today.
clearing brawl at the end of the game.
Bench clearing brawl. I absolutely love it.
My son's 5. We're starting to play hockey this fall, guys.
Okay,
you can't let me. Again,
that poor ref is just going to get a damn earful at 12 years old. Number 2, I have to point it out because it's driving me insane. I love the color coordination that's going on today. We got the blue, we got the red and red, we got the orange and orange glasses, we got the green backdrop. I keep staring at it, so I have to say it out loud. It just looks fantastic. And number 2, because number 3, for those that are counting, because we got to hit the really important questions. Brandon, you brought up AOC. I'm just curious, what are you giving odds? Who do you think is going to use those frozen eggs now that she's broken up? My money is on Ben McKenzie. That's what I think is going to happen here. I think that would be the fun story, right?
I mean, really quick, and I know Adam has something to say about this really quick. I mean, just the juxtaposition of, just what's happening in the world of what's going on in Massachusetts, which they're, murdering their children. It's hard to have good fruit from a bad tree when you don't believe in life and your party is against life. That's not very persuasive at the end of the day. So I predict, and not only that, communists will self-select themselves right out of this, guys. So, I mean, we're pissed off right now, and like I'm pissed off, and I've been pissed off for 25 years, but they aren't buying Bitcoin. And they're not procreating. So good luck.
We'll breed them out of existence later.
Adam,
thoughts?
I think the most unlikely is probably the most likely. So I think Elon becomes the donor, and AOC. We have an AOC Elon match, which comes out. That'll be Elon's 14th kid, which fulfills the prophecy. And we go to Mars.
Amazing.
Perfect.
All right, gents, I got to dive into this other item that I've been mentioning here, and that is Anthropic signing a $9.1 billion 20-year deal with a Bitcoin miner. So what the hell is going on here? They signed it with Riot Platforms to secure AI compute capacity, and what the takeaway here is that these AI data centers are trying to find entities that have access to massive amounts of energy. And what they'll have Bitcoin miners been trying to find since inception, as Bitcoin mining has gotten as large of an industry as it has. And so what we've got is, again, miners that can be plugged in and turned off at any point, that can respond to demand. And the demand is not directly correlated with compute demand either, right? So you have these miners that, especially at times, may not need as much of that capacity, or it may not make as much economic sense at times. It's natural that these two consumers of energy would be paired in some capacity. And this is not the first example of it. By the way, there's a 73% chance of an Anthropic IPO by the end of the year now on Polymarket. But we've seen some other examples of this. Even just last month, Bitcoin mining stocks jump after TeraWulf signs a $19 billion lease with Anthropic again. Public Bitcoin miners have also dumping Bitcoin for AI. So we've seen, what was the one? Bitfarms, they pivoted hard to AI. I mean, we talked about this on the show.
TeraWulf. I remember going through the list. It was pretty much all the major publicly traded Bitcoin miners, like all of them. Yeah. Mara. Yeah.
Hut 8. Again, this was back in December, actually, as well. Secured Google-backed partnership with Anthropic and FluidStack to build 2.3 gigawatts of AI data center capacity in the US. So again, you've got these two industries that keep colliding in different ways. You've got, a lot of people, again, this is a Bitcoin-centric show, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in the world that can be looked at through a Bitcoiner lens. And, we're bringing AI up a lot because these two industries are going to be interwoven in many ways. One of them here on the energy side, and also actually taking some of the heat off of Bitcoin mining too, because yeah, people are hating on data centers for it, but for the AI stuff. But people also love using AI, and so it's a little. If somebody's like, well, I like my Chat GPT.
It's like energy and global warming. It's like, I'm sorry, you're not turning shit off. You're just bitching the whole time. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the thing. Like, people want to be able to turn on their lights and use things. People also like the amount of efficiency gained with some of these tools. We use it regularly here when we're prepping stuff, when we're getting ready for shows, when we're building out a whole bunch of different things. Even me, in helping build out tutorials and things like that. It's like the amount of efficiency I've been able to gain and just helping kind of gather my thoughts and creatively put things together. I can't, like, going back would send me back and slow me down a lot. And so it's now becoming a part of the flow. And I think that's going to be very hard to step back from. I don't think we go back at this point. So that's part of it. But the other part is AI now is very much a cause for a lot of, not so much a cause, but it's able to point out vulnerabilities very expediently, which in the interim is going to be very, very worrying and scaring and dicey. But it will also mean that because we are now actively using that tool to find the vulnerabilities and plug them, a year from now, 2 years from now, how much more hardened is all of this stuff going to be? How much more secure? How many more solutions are we going to have? I think despite how awful this past week and a half has been, moving forward, like this is we're in the age right now where it's kind of the worst it's going to be, finding all of these vulnerabilities and seeing what red team is pumping out and like just how much shit is just broken. But
yeah, you don't want to get a message from Rob Hamilton right now. You see that guy in your DMs, you just fucking
those
don't open
memes.
it.
Those memes are good. All the
like the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. Hi. Shit. What now? Those are all so funny. But yeah, like it's going to help shape the security of the entire landscape, and that's great. And just to add one last thing. The tools in and around using AI and being able to do so privately are also intertwined with Bitcoin, because you can be divvying up a credit card and using the cucked frontier models, or you can be using the open models on surprise Bitcoiner created rails paying in Bitcoin. So again, we have Matt over here from PPQ. Code base increased 330% in the last 12 months. Rate of growth is both astonishing and alarming at the same time. But this is the guy that's behind PPQ. And PPQ, as you can see here up top, you can top up everything with Bitcoin. I've got Mk3 loaded up, and it's encrypted. So it's got end-to-end encryption, and so all of your chat and everything is hidden. No data retention, like people can't see your queries, all that kind of stuff, which is fantastic. You've also got Maple. I've been playing around a lot with Maple. I had Claude. I just canceled today because what I've been able to do with some of the models that I can pay for in Bitcoin is beyond what I've been actually regularly bumped down to lower models, even just asking and trying to prep for security related stuff and doing tutorials. It's happening across the board. Yeah, it's bad. So yeah, stuff like this where it's like, okay, I can look through and it's like, oh, the DeepSeek and Moonshot Mk3 and all these different ones, and then it'll show you the ones that are encrypted and that are there's no data retention, stuff like that. It's all right there for you. And then again, different models for images and videos and audios and other tools and text to speech and all of that. And again, you can use Bitcoin. That's the thing that you can use to not have to drop down a credit card and associate everything with it. So I love it. And it's going to be a major thing that I'm going to be covering. Also, I guess opportune time to mention that Sovereign Sessions is 5 days old now, which is wild. We passed 4,100 subscribers today. Over this first 5 days, we've gotten about 25,000 views, which is wild. So huge thanks to everybody that's been joining in and been a part of it. And 5 days old, and yeah, things are off to a good start. So yeah, if that's where all the tutorials are migrating, and we're doing Bitcoin and Freedom Tech over there. So again, if you want to join me over there, make sure you pop over, give a subscribe, and we're trying to what's it called? Collaborate the videos on the BTC Sessions channel here too, so that you can find it easier. But definitely come over and join if you're keen on the self-sovereign tutorials. Anyways, I'm going to shut up. I want to hear you guys' thoughts in and around this this deal with Anthropic and Riot and the other kind of pairings of these two industries, the examples that I brought up. So Adam, do you want to pontificate on this a little bit?
Yeah, man, I think deeply about this. So immediately I was like, oh, this is quite bad for Bitcoin because we're going to be stealing a bunch of hash power and it's going to be dropping the security of the network. However, like Bitcoin, it has all of these aligned incentives where like you and I, as the ones running home miners or as the ones hobby mining or, you know, using our Abundant Minds subscription, like we aren't the ones rushing to AI. It is in fact only the centralized miners that have the opportunity to sell their power and their compute to AI. And so once again, the aligned incentive of Bitcoin is such that this will help continue to decentralize the mining network, which I think is a great thing. I also think it highlights the, again, aligned incentive of the Bitcoin energy spend, the proof of work protocol, that we can't get away from. You know, financially speaking, economically speaking, from a human rights perspective, you need proof of work in order to have fair and equal weights. You need that energy to be going into the money system. And what do we have now is we have this, we have the AI, which will encourage compute. Over time, though, the AI models will require less compute. There is going to be a whack of energy and compute power available. And I think Bitcoiners will be able to purchase that stuff for dirt cheap and allocate it towards Bitcoin mining, further decentralizing and further adding to the network security down the road. So yeah, listen, everything's bullish. I think bombs could drop. I'd be like bullish for Bitcoin, but I think that we, for the most part, should align that this is bullish for Bitcoin. I think, you know, it'll be scary, maybe the wrong word, but we'll see the hash power dip as we have been, you know, watching Bitfarms sell Bitcoin to basically allocate hash power to AI. HUD 8, you know, the companies are going to keep doing it because AI is subsidizing everything. Anthropic's going to go on a crazy IPO. They're going to raise billions of dollars, subsidize more data centers, subsidize more, you know, crazy, probably gaslighting and nonsense. But we are going to eventually see all of that energy come back to Bitcoin. So it's bullish.
I love it. Well, first and foremost, I want to point out like AI is a very powerful and important tool, and we should only use it for powerful and important things. So just a reminder to everybody, Elon AOC coming up here soon. Like and subscribe, okay? So just make sure.
Where's the ultrasound? You need the ultrasound.
Yeah, I'll get the ultrasound photo.
The joke had a pretty serious through line there, Nathan. What are you doing?
Sorry, I'll bring it back.
That's amazing. That image cost 17 gallons of water and shut off the power in a West Texas town.
Oh, man.
You're welcome, West Texas. The other one, too, is that I think this is ultimately very healthy for the Bitcoin network and was necessarily going to happen. I've long kind of held on this belief that I don't think the publicly traded miners, these big miners, are a sustainable business. I don't think it's necessarily doable. And I think what we're seeing right now is just the distribution of the capital that's involved with that. It's not bad. The big miners, the centralized miners that we just had this wonderful civil war about, they're shutting down their operations. They're moving on. The house is going to go elsewhere. But it's not like those ASICs just like disappear into dust. They're selling for cheap now to people that are agile, that can use them, that have stranded energy or cheap energy somewhere else. They'll get relocated and they'll get turned on, right? They'll come back to, especially if we get another bull run, which I think we're getting near the end of the year. I do think famous last words, I think we've hit bottom. I don't think there's any more sacrifices needed for the network today. I think we're good. And we're going to start seeing the up only coming into the fall. It'll be profitable to run some of the other ones again. They'll get them for cheap. They'll hang on to them. If you guys remember from previous cycles too, those ASICs can swing in value wildly. And so there's going to be some entrepreneur out there who's like, I can get a bunch of S19s for like $100. I'm going to stack up on those and I can probably move them for a pretty penny in 6 months to 12 months, right? So it's decentralizing and redistributing hash away from these giant public miners, which I think is great. And I think we're going to see the industry continue to, it's fine. AI is going to come in, take those ones. They're going to set up new shops. I still think we're going to see other crazy shit. Bob Burnett pointed this one out to me. I think he's absolutely right. We're going to see the banking industry get into mining here at some point in time because they want to be able to have guaranteed block space at some point, right? They're going to want to be able to make sure that they can get their transactions through. So they'll have their own mining division. They might even have their own pool, right? So it feels like a natural transition. I expect, again, it's not necessarily profitable. They'll go do the AI thing, have fun, no worries. Mining's not dead. If I remember correctly, the hash rate in 2019 was something like 10 to 20% of what it is right now. Even if we continue dropping to the next halving, we weren't unsecure in 2019. We've got lots of wiggle room here. Things are just redistributing. I'm not worried about it. New capital allocators, new entrepreneurs are coming into the space. We're going to be totally fine. Brandon?
Yeah, I think I remember 2021. I mean, I remember being at 100 exahash, 100, whatever. Just that was for some reason I always remember around that time the exahash, because I think it was around the time we hit 100 exahash, and so that was when we crossed over to the new denominator, or the adding a digit. So I always remember that for some reason. But yeah, it's funny, like you guys said. I mean, that was the first thing that pops in my head with all this, and clearly everyone had the same thought with it, which is, oh, we just were worrying about miner centralization, and here we are. Things are people are leaving and people are going away. So I think ultimately that's what happens too. I mean, I've thought about that for a little while, maybe not as much as you guys, but it's become apparent to me over the last year or two that that's the way that it looked like things were going to kind of go. And I think part of it too, going back to the AI thing, I'm very curious to see where the open source goes with, and what Ben was saying earlier with Anthropic, and you guys mentioned, they're going to IPO all this stuff. Eric Cason just had tweeted this earlier today, I think. And I was, again, I think it's something we've been talking a lot here on the show about this. Open source is eating people's lunch, whether it's the money or, Christine Lagarde, right? If there's an escape hash, people will find it, and everything, all the FUD that, again, I believe, and I've said here many times, all emanates from the state. All Bitcoin FUD emanates from the people who will not benefit from Bitcoin the most. So you have this world where open source continues to eat everyone's lunch. OpenAI, Anthropic, how are they going to become profitable? How are these businesses going to sustain this long term when you have this open model?
I have no idea.
Right.
But here's the thing, though. So we all know this, but we have to understand we are the niche inside the niche inside the niche. You go outside, go to a Starbucks, ask someone what an open source model is. They're going to look at you with a glazed over eyeballs, and be like, where's my triple pump vanilla latte? Thank you very much. Extra whipped cream.
They're going to think you're referring to a scantily clad woman who likes to take pictures, right? They got no clue.
But I think that we discount in our echo chamber here how they become profitable. They need the amount of energy required to send that much reasoning to significantly drop. And I think that's the bet that they're taking. They're also betting that they're going to be able to control the narrative and keep us quiet and afraid, and also they're going to be able to throttle the chips. I've got sitting right here, it's actually, my air conditioning is blowing on me right now because it's so freaking hot in this room. But I've got a massive computer that I've been building for months because you cannot find parts. And that's what's running lots of Bitcoin Wells AI right now is local, we're a local shop. We run lots of local models. We use some of the frontier models, of course, for lots of our lots of the building, but lots of our AI is run through local models. But it's a mission to find the hardware to be able to do that. And so they will continue throttling hardware. The hardware will continue to go to the big guys, to the Anthropics, to the Googles, to the Metas, and us plebs are going to be the ones boots on the ground, figuring out how to source the appropriate chips, how to source the appropriate hardware, and then how to use the models. But do not kid yourself that everyone's going to go run to models because it's cheaper and better. Cheaper and better means nothing to the average NPC.
Yeah, we see that with the money too, right? I mean, so look, it happens much longer than we all think it is. So it's a great point. I'm phenomenal. And the compute part of it too, where bringing back, and we mentioned this in the first segment too, what bringing onshoring things with the chip deals and things like that, because it's a safety thing too, right? At the end of the day, this is a safety play for the Americas. You know, I was on another stream the other day, we were talking about Mexico, maybe Mexico, I don't know, but Canada being the 51st state, like legitimately, like I'm 3 days into understanding and learning that George Washington was sending letters to Quebec and just saying, and they were conversing with each other because they were like, hey, get the British off of me. Like we was that close to being all the same, which is wild, which I did not know that. I did not know. So again, side tangent for a different day, but this is the game again that's being unveiled right in front of everybody's eyes. We've been lied to forever about all these things, and these things have been kept from us. So the safety angle of this, but at the end of the day, again, coming back to Bitcoin and what we said right in the beginning of owning hard assets. Again, if they aren't profitable and these things go under, and you have some of these guys blow up eventually, even if that's the case, what are they going to need to do? They're going to need to print. They're going to print. No matter what way you look at any of the things we talk about, they have to print a butt ton of money. Good luck.
Yeah. Agreed. Also, sorry, West Texas, I burned another 70 gallons of water. So there you guys go. As requested.
On an AOC.
Congratulations, guys. It's a nice gaggle of kids and a couple of good steers out there.
Cute couple.
Yeah. What a great looking family. Yeah. All right, gents. We're going to go to break. On the other side of it, I want to talk about some of the 110 stuff and kind of the direction of the hard fork that is basically more or less coming to fruition. Very clearly a fork, a separate coin that's going to come to fruition. But the way it's being framed, I think is going to harm. Yeah. Well, that too. But yeah, the way it's being framed and sold to some individuals, I think is going to cause a lot of harm. So we'll bring it up. Again, people are free to make their own financial decisions in regards to this, but worth mentioning. And actually, another share on a positive note in regards to the 110 thing from Yellow. And actually, I do quite like this. So I'll share it on the other side of the break. Nonetheless, if you guys are enjoying the conversation, keep throwing them chairs in the chat as they always get flying, and drop a like, give this a share. We'll be back in just a moment.
Don't leave your life savings to chance. With Bitcoin, it is imperative that your setup is both secure and accessible, not just to yourself, but also to your family if anything should happen to you. That's why I've assembled a team of the best educators on the planet over at btcmentor.io. We help you make sure your Bitcoin setup is rock solid, and we also help you set up your freedom and sovereignty tech, things like privacy, self-hosted AI, and sovereign computing. In a world of increasing surveillance and censorship, isn't it time you leveled up? Head over to btcmentor.io and book a call today. When it comes to peer-to-peer trading and lending, instant self-custody, and no KYC, HODL HODL is the place to be. You can sign up with just an email address, and once you're there, you can start browsing offers immediately, whether you're looking to buy and sell, or whether you're looking to lend or borrow. You can check them out today at the links down below.
All right, gents, and empty room. Let's.
I pulled a walker.
Nonetheless, let's take a peek at this tweet from Luke about what happened with the 110 activation attempt over the weekend. So, again, just to kind of, I guess, sum it up. The block came where mandatory signaling was necessary, where 110 signaling nodes would not accept any blocks that were from miners that were not signaling for 110. And so what ended up happening was 2 blocks initially were mined, and then basically the chain stalled out. At one point, the individuals that were mining on that chain basically called it and said, like, we can't continue to do this. It's not economically viable. And so they dropped out as well. And it pretty much grinded to a halt. And Bitcoin just kept pumping out blocks. And so in terms of support, it wasn't just hash that was not in the affirmative. In terms of node count, like the highest numbers we saw were in the realm of 25%, I think, somewhere in that range. I don't have exact numbers in front of me, but mid to high 20s, something like that, in percentage wise. So still not a majority of nodes. We also didn't see exchanges across the board. I don't think I saw a single exchange saying like, this is where 110 will be Bitcoin on the exchange. So furthermore, hash, if they were mining 110, they didn't have the liquidity or anywhere to offload them to cover their expenses. Businesses pretty much across the board. Yeah, there was a list, but it wasn't by any means an extensive list. Wallet providers. I know Mana Bitcoin was pro 110, but like outside of that, most Bitcoin users actually don't by default run nodes. Like it's a very niche of the niche that are actually running nodes. The average person, if they have a self-custody Bitcoin wallet, they probably just have a wallet on their phone and is defaulting to whatever the default is. And I didn't see any of the defaults switched to 110. Pretty much all of the infrastructure, the businesses, the exchanges, the hash, every facet, the only thing that was a little bit higher was the nodes, but it was still a minority, right? It was still 20
developers
something
too.
percent. Developers as well, right? And so
To your point
across
about
the board,
defaults, like lots of wasn't a default on start 9 to be signaling as well, or did I misunderstand?
No, but it was a one click, so you could choose. So they didn't.
It was still opt in though.
Yeah.
Okay,
So like if you wanted to run knots, then you would be signaling BIP 110. If you wanted to run core, but you choose the implementation that you download. It's not by default, it goes with anything. But I do want to show the framing from Luke here in and around what happened and kind of contrast. And so I guarantee some people are going to look at this and be like, no, this is the truth. But here we go. I like that it started with facts. 1, Saturday, bad actors attempted a contentious hard fork with the purpose of forcing users to distribute CSAM. This spawned a new scam coin with an airdrop I called BPedo. So basically, Luke is saying that the existing Bitcoin that continued to make blocks and that users that had been using it made no changes whatsoever, and the chain just continued. And if you did nothing, you noticed nothing. And the people that actively switched the implementation they were running and made this signal and this user activated soft fork that then ground to a halt. He's saying the people that didn't take all the extra actions are on a forked altcoin. So that's number 1 that he's saying here. Number 2, most formerly Bitcoin pools, a small handful of people, then began to attack the Bitcoin network to try and deceive the world into thinking BPedo is the real Bitcoin. Again, like the miners apparently colluding to make this the real Bitcoin.
They colluded to do nothing. They changed absolutely nothing. They just continued forward in a collusion to continue forward, not doing anything, not talking to one another.
And once again, Ocean, who made the change with the default to 110, was the one that then had to be like, listen, we're moving our defaults back because we will split off, and our users, they had put 110 signaling as a default. They had to revert back because customers would basically be mining a chain, and they only had like max 2 to 3% of hash. So customers were being impacted. 3, people who aren't using full nodes are easily fooled because They don't validate the blockchain. Upgrading to a full node, such as the latest release of Nonce, will put you back on the Bitcoin network. Again, even 75% of the people that are running nodes did not agree with the change or did not pursue the change. And it was a change, and it was a protocol change. Again, there's a difference between protocol and defaults. You can absolutely say that the change in the defaults was not desirable. I'd probably echo that. But we have to be precise there. And then 4, community-led mitigation are in progress to overcome the ongoing attack on the Bitcoin network and restore its full functionality, and update these mitigations is expected by September 1st. So basically, what is being proposed is a hard fork, a change to proof of work, and an entirely new coin that will be claimed to be Bitcoin. But again, the people that continued running the same implementation that hasn't, like the actual consensus has not changed, and the people that just continued using Bitcoin have noticed no difference in terms of having to like duck, dodge, and weave. There's not been any change. The miners didn't change anything. The users didn't change anything. The people that weren't running 110 didn't change anything. The businesses, the exchanges, nobody changed anything. The people that were pro 110 did make changes, and had, even a majority, like if none of the hash had agreed with it, let's say not a single miner agreed with it, but every other facet of Bitcoin did. All the users, all the exchanges, all the businesses, all of that stuff. Miners would have to go and mine what the users want, right? They are a service. They are paid by the users effectively. But it wasn't the reality of the consensus, right? Like that wasn't what was happening. It was a very different story in 2017. And that's because the activation of SegWit was pretty much unanimous across the board. And it was miners holding it up, but it was one miner. It was Bitmain, because they had an unfair advantage with something called ASIC boost. And nobody knew about ASIC boost. It was all kind of hidden away under the hood until somebody discovered it later. But activating SegWit for them would break their unfair advantage mining. And they didn't want to say that out loud. So they were just a holdout. Nobody knew why. And it was a user activated soft fork with an implementation that everybody agreed was a good idea in form of a soft fork that pushed it over the edge. And so with a lower activation threshold as well. In that instance, the threat of being wiped out for Bitmain was too much, and they cut their losses and they flipped. But it's important to note the difference in dynamic. I would, while it's not a perfect analogy, I would say that in terms of like amount of influence of change, I'd say the Bitmain to the 110 thing is similar, where you had to basically say like, well, okay, I'm out of consensus. Bitmain had to realize they were out of consensus. So nonetheless, funny, I got a couple more things here and then we'll chat. But Chris from Cedar was talking about the miners, the roughnecks that mined the first couple blocks. They began once again mining on the 110 chain. It's going very, very slowly. You can see, it's basically every few hours they're maybe getting a block. So they got 4 days ago, 3 days ago, they stopped mining, and then 4 hours ago, and then 2 minutes ago. So blocks are going very, very slowly. I don't know what the Bitcoin, how many blocks ahead it is. It's a lot though. It's like insurmountable at this point. Yeah.
Very interesting economical decision.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, he's just kind of pointing out like the amount of money being burned here is staggering. The 110 coins, you cannot offload them. There's no market to be able to do so. And the Coinbase transaction, so when you mine and you get the Coinbase transaction, it's not spendable for 100 blocks. And these blocks are coming every 4 hours when this one entity is mining. So 100 blocks at 4 hours. So I just, you math it out. It's going to be some time to get even the first Coinbase transaction from the first block mined. Pretty wild. But let's go to the positive side of things. So I saw two things, and you know, it's tough. Like I understand everybody's very passionate. I understand the argument of like, we don't want bullshit on Bitcoin. You don't want spam. It's annoying. It's a pain in the ass. All of that. And it's also tough realizing that an effort that you put a lot of your mental capacity into did not work as planned. And so I understand people rightfully being upset about that. But I think the worst thing would be for people to fork off and go with whatever this ends up being at September 1st. I don't think that's going to be good. I also think that it's worth having people stick around who have differences of opinion around how these things should be developed. If anything, like if there's not consensus, it's the status quo. But you know, the biggest shame about this is there were a meaningful number of people starting to use knots, and it was an additional choice in the market. The market responded to development in and around core, and a subset of the market said, we don't like that direction, we're going to use this alternative. And it was a signal saying, listen, you're no longer pleasing everybody with this product or, you know, this offering. And so, you know, I don't want that option to go away. I'd like more options. So nonetheless, rambling aside, this post from Reddit I quite like, and I'm going to I'll read it, and then he has a little video down below. He said, what BIP 110 represents, the idea behind it, as my friend Hodlanaut talks about, isn't wrong. It's what I personally believe too, Bitcoin being money. Totally agree. But the action itself, the fork, was an overreaction. Strategically, I believe it was the wrong move. A kind of ritualistic seppuku like that of Yuko Mishima in Japan in the 70s. Yes, it might inspire some people in the future, but we don't need more ghosts of in this space. We don't need another Nostrich strategy moment, which, great comparison there. A lot of people completely deleted X, went over to Nostr, and then couldn't tell anybody else about Nostr. And it stagnated, right? Not to say that Nostr is going away, but it wasn't a sound idea. Why are we on YouTube? Because I want to do educational stuff for normies and new people. I can't just be on Nostr because I want to be able to reach people. And again, if you fork off and disappear to some shitcoin that is not going to have any liquidity or anything, that's not going to have any influence on the direction of development and the decentralization. Nonetheless, continuing on, we need you guys to stay here, stay now, and balance out the paper Bitcoin core strategies of this space that are emerging. Agreed. At the policy level, in the podcast, in the conferences, in the spaces, in the articles, in the memes, in the shitpost trenches, whenever you choose, Yellow will be right there next to you guys. When someone enters your house, you don't leave, you stay and fight for it. So every BIP 110er out there, shout it out loud. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. So I'll just play the,
I'm not leaving.
There we go.
I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving! The show goes on! This is my home! They're gonna need a fucking wrecking ball to take me out of here! They're gonna need to send in the National Guard of fucking SWAT team, because I ain't going nowhere!
Leave it to Yellow to perfectly lighten the mood. I think it's great. But yeah, again, guys, the other inspiring thing, Canute had a great post, a recognition like, hey, there just wasn't consensus. I'm disappointed. I thought that 110 was positive, but I'm not going to fork off to some other random coin. I'm going to stick around and try to push forward, what I believe is right. But I'm going to stay in consensus, and rather than how he phrased it, I'm going to eat a piece of humble pie instead of double down pie. And yeah, that's great. So, Yellow, Canute, love you guys. Glad you're around. So, gents, who wants to dive in here? I know there's a lot, and I'm conscious of time, so let's keep going. Adam?
Yeah, dude, so much respect for Canute. Bitcoin has a way. I mean, hey, what did we say 2 weeks ago with the Coldcard stuff? Bitcoin has a way of humbling even the greatest. And I think that we need to, those that are sticking around, not taking a slice of double down pie, yeah, welcome them. Yellow, perfect sentiment. And I think that TikTok, next block, Ben, I love what you said. We don't just want a bunch of echo chambers marching forward. And probably the best form of Bitcoin is not 2 different versions, it's probably 3. I think Jimmy Song said that, or at least I was the first to hear it, of like, let's get some differing opinions, let's get some diversity, and let's march our way towards better money together. I really was disappointed with the Civil War that tried to get fired up. And I think that, yeah, I'm bullish on where we ended up. I think we ended up in the right spot. I think consensus ruled. Just like the Bcash fork, we had some big blockers peel off. They can call themselves right, whatever. Like it just doesn't matter what they think. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is strong. Consensus remains. And that's kind of the beauty of a decentralized network. You don't get to be a purist. You don't get to be the leader. You don't get to be some altruistic, brute force juggernaut. You get to eat a slice of humble pie once in a while, even if, like, I think we all agree with the intentions. It just didn't work. And the way in which it went about was wrong. And yeah, so I think Bitcoin is as Bitcoin does, and TikTok next block, and be humble, stack sats, and all the rest of the sayings that we say, but for some reason don't believe. Let's get back to that.
Nice.
Yeah, Brandon?
Don't trust verify would be the other one, actually.
That's another good one to remind everybody. Yep.
So incredibly important. And we talked about this the other day. I think we mentioned it maybe on Monday, and we talked about this end of last week, that you have to be able to let people save face. And have grace for people, because we're all human. We've all effed up. We've all gone the wrong way. We've done things in our life that, hey, I learned, whatever it might be. So I think it's very important to have that. Don't be a dick to each other. Argue and debate and talk, your reasons, and go back and forth and debate stuff like that. But there's no need to be a dick. Just let people save face. We need these people. We need the hardcore, remnant. Fortunately, there's many still in Bitcoin, but there's many that were going off another direction. And hopefully we're going to peel a lot of those people back, because we need those people. Like you guys just said, it's so important. We cannot go and do the libertarian thing of walking into the field of dreams and just disappearing and forfeiting it. Just, Rocky Wirtz, the Wirtz family owned the Chicago Blackhawks. And I think it was like 30 years ago. And he thought it was a good idea to take the Blackhawks off of TV. He said, you know what? You're not showing up to the game. I'm not going to put it on TV. Well, guess what happened? It just was even worse. The less people showed up to the game because it was out of sight, out of mind. No one even knew the Blackhawks existed. And so you have to show up. We need the energy, like we talked about. Energy is persuasive. The energy is the game, whether it's the AI and the compute, or it's Bitcoin saving your time and energy, or humans showing up, whether it's your local political stuff, getting involved, your local, children's stuff, or homeschooling. Showing up and having energy and being the energy is the way forward at the end of the day. And we're only going to be able to do that together. We're small, irate minority right now, all of us, just Bitcoin in general, whether we forked off or not, we're still so small, like Adam mentioned earlier, and we are an echo chamber. So we do have to be very careful with that. We need everyone together going forward. So I'm so hopeful and feel there's so much abundance coming, but we want as many of these remnant, that people that think very similar to us, because those are the people that are going to build the foundation of the new world going forward. These badass individuals that are in Bitcoin now or have been in for 17 years, that's an incredible group of people to have the power and energy going forward to build society on. And I'm very, very excited for that.
Yeah, I agree, Brandon. One thing I just want to hit on quickly. Speaking of, like, we're all deeply flawed human beings and we all make mistakes. Just want to give you guys a quick little update. Remember we talked about the SPLC lady who was giving money to her white supremacist boyfriend? Update. She's been arrested. So I thought that would be a fun little one. Close out that story. Hey, we all make mistakes. Sometimes you work for the Southern Poverty Law Center and you funnel money to your white supremacist boyfriend and you get a little bit of hot water for it. And then also just, ending on, I think the more important things. Ross Ulbricht.
Oh, yeah.
Wife pregnant, first baby on the way. So something a little bit wonderful, a little bit awesome there. Bitcoiners, we are going to outbreed the communists. Ben?
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's lovely to see. Much needed good news. Yeah.
Can we
I mean,
just
what a great
how
story.
good is that wife to stick it out, no end in sight, by his side, faithful, like 10 out of 10 woman, like
amazing.
Just so good.
I thought that too earlier, Adam.
We should all aspire
So
to
cool.
find a woman like that. So awesome. Congrats to Ross and his beautiful wife.
Yep.
So great. Awesome.
Agreed.
Well, gents, good a time as any to round out. But great conversation. Everything was fantastic here. Adam, I did want to, before we round out though, you are up to something, you're building something exciting, something's coming down the pipeline. What are you up to? What's currently top of mind for you?
Yeah. Tax advantages are top of mind for me. And so there's a few ways to do that. In the States, we've got some IRA stuff coming. And so that's like less exciting, but still good. You can buy real Bitcoin in a tax advantage way. But then in the state or in Canada, we are able to grow our light accounts. And so light accounts, I'm going to ask you guys to listen to what I'm saying very carefully here. Light accounts are a way you don't need full verification on your Bitcoin Well account. You can just confirm your phone number and email. And you're able to buy
any phone number and email. Can I get any? Like, can I use Silent Link and use that phone number?
Man, it's got to be your phone number and your email.
My phone number and my email.
Okay. You do own, Nathan. You can own a phone number.
Actually, I believe you can actually buy SIM cards if you wanted with Bitcoin. So there are.
I'm doing a video on that, Adam.
What you do?
I'm making a video on it this week.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And so, so we're going to be, previously we had some lower limits on that, but we are able to increase those. So keep an eye on your email, log into your Bitcoin Well account. You'll be able to buy, I think we're going to get to go up to $5,000 a day in a light account buying Bitcoin.
Excellent.
So really, really good news there for, I called it tax advantage, but really it's just freedom advantages, right? We all want to maintain freedom. We buy Bitcoin in self-custody for a very good reason. When this nation falls, you don't want to be subject to, 6102 or equivalent.
Yeah, exactly.
Agreed.
It's always advantageous to, to be able to have Bitcoin and not have to give every single tiny bit of information about yourself to sit in a honeypot. There's various dangers there.
The financial, we discount financial privacy. The average person thinks I have nothing to hide, so I should share everything. But that's just not the case. We all know what's sitting underneath our underwear, but no one's walking around naked. And when you give up your financial privacy, you're just walking around naked. And I think it's deeply concerning. I think like we are the only platform in Canada able to offer light account and where you're able to buy Bitcoin in this way. And I think it's a passion of mine. It's a mission of ours to enable independence. And I strongly believe in the financial rights of Canadians. And so super pumped.
I'm just going to interrupt you super quickly and like right at the finish line too. Just on that note, I saw this earlier this week. Attackers keep hitting the wrong house in rural France after crypto millionaire moved. So the guy doesn't even live there anymore, but his name and address is on the old lists. So financial privacy, it has its value. It even could protect the next person who owns your house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Wild. Well, gents, this was awesome. Again, go, especially if you can check out those new limits on the light accounts if you're Canadian. go take a peek over at Bitcoin Well. And very, very useful. So thanks for the heads up, Adam. But gents, this was a blast. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys for being here. And yeah, if I hope you took Yellow's words to heart. Stick around. We don't want people forking off and leaving. Come, join us. Help build the future. Even if last week was disappointing for you, we still want you here. So thank you guys. Appreciate you all. Drop a like, give a share. I'm Ben. This is Nathan, Brandon, and special guest Adam. And this was Bitcast. See you guys.
You know the world is heading down a dark path. Online censorship, central bank digital currencies, a complete loss of privacy, and it's only accelerating. Most people are falling behind with the latest technology, and those that aren't are sacrificing their data, their control, and their dignity just to keep up. That doesn't have to be you. Here, you'll have everything you need to break free. Over the past decade, I've helped 20 million people take control of their money, their data, and their digital lives. Now, I'm bringing everything I've learned to one place. Sovereign Sessions is your home to learn, master, and live freedom tech. Bitcoin, AI, private communications, self-hosted tools, everything. Each week, I'll walk you through step by step with the most critical tools that put you back in charge. Don't ask permission, take control. Welcome to the Sovereign Sessions.